High School Musical 2 opened up to 17 million viewers on its premiere night. Feel me? Easily the biggest event in 2007, and I'm sure most of us watched it when it first came out. In this video, I'm basically going to be talking about one of the songs bet on it and what it taught me about taking accountability for my actions. Okay, so here's some context for you guys, all right? So, the plot of the movie, right? So, Troy and the rest of the school, they land lifeguard jobs at the local Lava Springs Country Club where they host an annual staff talent show. Sharpay, she incites tension between Troy and the rest of the gang by insisting Troy perform with her in exchange for a better position at the country club than everyone else at the school, and also a basketball scholarship that his dad tries to push on him. Feel me? This causes a rift between Troy and his friends, turning Troy into a snob and alienating himself from the rest of the school. It isn't until Gabriella dumps Troy and leaves the country club for Troy to realize the error of his ways. And later Troy learns Sharpay made it so that the rest of the school, they can't perform at the talent show. Everyone gives Troy the cold shoulder, and we cut to the most iconic musical number in cinematic history. Alright, so let's start with the golf course, alright? The backdrop of privilege. The golf course represents the upper class world Sharpay lures Troy into, causing a drift between Troy, his friends, and his roots. The wide open space allows Troy to physically express his frustration through dramatic running and dance moves, which Zac Efron improvises. He uses the elements around him, the grass, the sand trap, the water, to mirror his emotional turmoil. The sand trap was a key moment that symbolizes Troy's feeling of being stuck and defeated, grappling with the reality that he's lost his true identity. The water reflection of himself that he sees when he runs past a small pond externalizes his internal turmoil, confronting a version of himself that he's not proud of. Alright, so this song allows Troy to explicitly reject Sharpay's influence and the pressure from his father to try and mold him into their ideal version of himself. And throughout the song, Troy, he expresses his confusion and loss of direction. As we reach the climax, Troy resolves to make things right, which isn't, just an internal resolution, but also a promise of action, concluding to make amends with Gabriella and his friends. Troy experiences a wide range of different emotions, going from anger to self-reflection to vulnerability. Troy, he decides to stop dwelling on his mistakes and focus on regaining his true self, finding the self-belief he thought he had lost. In Troy, he realizes all the answers he seeks are within himself, and this shift from relying on others' validation to trusting his own instincts is the core theme of the song. The repetition of "That's who I am." A little riff there, you feel me? That line becomes a mantra of self-acceptance. By betting on himself, Troy is no longer allowing external forces to define his character or his future in a declarative, powerful manner. The conclusion of the song sets Troy in motion, serving as a catalyst for the rest of the film's climax, which provides Troy with the mental clarity and determination he needs to reject Sharpay's advances, make amends with Gabriella and his friends, and lead them in their final act at the talent show. Okay. In the performance. So because Zac Efron, he didn't sing in the first High School Musical, he made it a huge point to sing all the songs himself in the second one, fighting to use his voice on all the tracks. And just this fact alone, it adds a layer of authenticity to Troy's emotional journey. And when you combine the dynamic and angry movements that Zac Efron improvised, this gives us a raw emotional scene that encapsulates the message of the song. So, in conclusion, right, this song taught me that, it's easy to lose ourselves along our journey. Troy, he's, pulled in different directions in his life and has to self-reflect in order to take control of his life, and by trusting his own instincts and reclaiming his identity, Troy is able to pivot away from the conformity and manipulation that he's getting from external forces, right? So he cements his decision to prioritize his genuine relationships and value over the promise of prestige and a lucrative future. We're all humans, okay? We all make mistakes. I know I have, but if we don't identify the problem and take accountability for our actions, we will never be able to grow past the version of ourselves that we want to separate from and move towards the person that we want to be.
Guys, I've been down on myself lately. I'm not gonna lie, from my past decisions, mistakes that I've made. And I feel like when I was younger, I just enjoyed the song for entertainment. But as I got older, I took the underlying message face value, and I applied it to my actual life. Learning that it's okay that we make mistakes as humans, but it's not okay to not be responsible for them. Be accountable. I taught myself be accountable for the decisions that I make. Redirect where I want to take my life. Pivot towards the person that I want to become, and not letting the past consume me and determine the rest of my future. Just trying to take accountability in order to grow, to learn, grow, and become a better version of myself.
So guys, you know, don't be too hard on yourself for making mistakes. Just be accountable. Identify what the issue was. You know, stop doing that. You know, this advice I want to take for myself. You know, and move forward by learning, growing, and you know, just being a better person, being kind. You feel me? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed that, please make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you check out the last video that's in the description down below, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Love.